Hi everyone, welcome to my Excel tutorial, and today we're going to be looking at creating a speedometer in an Excel chart. So on the right of the screen here you can see I already have one created, and it's showing the share of gross value for Patrick O'Donnell, and it's a dynamic chart. So when I click on the drop down here and change the name to somebody else like Una Clark, for example, you can see the chart changes and now it's showing 24%. So Una Clark is 24% of the gross value. And if I change it back, it changes again. And you can see that it has also a data label there indicating the uh, the percentage share that she has of the gross value. So how do you make something like that? Well, first of all, I'm going to create a new sheet, and in the new sheet, I'm going to highlight an area. Okay, this is going to be my chart area. And in here, I'm going to give it some color. So I'm going to color it gray. And inside that, I'm going to add the chart. So then I go to, first of all, I need to add some data for the chart. So I'll do that over to the right here. So this is going to be for the speedometer. Okay, and we have a number of values we need to add for this. So we have a starting value, I'm going to call start, an initial value, and we have a middle value, and we also have an end and a max value. Okay, so the initial value of the speedometer, I'm just going to resize this by double clicking on the column at the top. Okay, so that's resized, so it fits the text inside the column. And this is going to be 0 for the start, 15 for the initial value, 45 for the middle value, 40 for the end value, and finally 100 for the max value. Okay, so we need to put those into the donut-shaped chart. So first of all, I would highlight my data points like that. And then on the insert menu, I'm looking for the donut chart. It's in the charts group, and there's a drop down here for insert pie or donut chart. So there's the donut, the last one at the bottom. Click that, okay. And then I can drag that chart onto my canvas, if you want to call it that. Okay, so far it doesn't really look like what we want, but what we have to do now is remove the legend and the title. So clicking on the chart elements, deselect chart title and legend. Okay, so that's that done. That makes it quite a bit bigger. The next thing we want to do is change some colors here. So selecting the chart, right click and format data series. Okay, this brings up a panel on the right here, and in it is the series options. So the angle of the first slice, I'm going to change that to 270 degrees. Okay, so that puts the chart into the right format for us. And then I want to, after that, remove some of the color from the chart. So selecting the blue area at the bottom here and going to the paintbrush and clicking on fill, choose no fill. Okay, and that removes the fill from that. Now the other thing we want to do is change the colors here. So I want this first area here to be green. So again, I go back to fill, solid fill, and I'm going to change that to green, dark green in this case. I want to change the second segment to be yellow. So solid fill again, and here I'm going to change this to being yellow. And the third segment will be red. So selecting the third segment, and I'm going to then change that to solid fill and red. Okay, so that's that part done. Now, also want to remove the background white white background on the chart. So selecting the chart, this time the chart, not the chart itself, but the chart area, choose no fill. Okay, now you can see at this point that we have white border lines appearing, and we want to remove those as well. So clicking on the chart again and expanding the border option here at the bottom, choose no fill, no line. Okay, and that's the first part completed. Now we want to add as well some the needle, which will indicate the size of the. So I'm going to add over here. I'm going to put in the needle. So I'm going to call it. Let's say here we would just have the needle value first of all. So the needle value is going to be 0.03. And here we're going to have the value. Now we don't have this linked to any report, so I'm just going to put in a drop down where we can select values for this. So in this particular cell here, I'm going to then go to data validation on the data ribbon, click on that and change it to a list. And in here I'm going to put a series of values. Okay, so let me change that. These really should be percentages. So I'm going to say 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4, and 0.5. Okay. So there's the values in the drop-down. So we can choose from different values and that will change our needle. Okay, so I'm just going to call this value. And then the third thing we need is a thing called the offset. Okay, and that's going to be a formula. And the formula for that is equal to 1.36 minus the sum of these two values. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to put a little bit of format. So this is for the needle and this is for the speedometer. So here I'm going to put in a little border around that area just to make it neat, nice and neat. And there's the speedometer. Okay, but you could put that in another sheet. In fact, it would probably be better to do that. I'm just doing it here to show you. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to bring in the needle. So highlighting our data set again, in this case for the needle, go to insert, and the needle is going to be a pie chart. So it's going to be in the chart group, click the drop down and select 2D pie. And there it is. Okay, so again, we remove the title and the legend. Okay, and then we need to make some formatting changes. So clicking on the chart area, I'm going to choose no fill again. Okay, so that gets rid of that. And then in the angle of the see now if I can find. Right, so the angle of the first slice here is going to be 269. Okay, so you can see there the needle just in the middle. So we're going to remove the color from the other segments. So selecting the other segments. This time I've selected the gray area, no fill on that. And the blue area, we don't want any fill on that. And finally, border, no line. Okay, so we need to select that for all the borders. and we also don't want a line on the needle. And also, I think it would be good to have the needle colored black. Okay, so now we're nearly ready to drag it over, and you need to position it over the donut shape. Okay, so now if I change my values in the drop down, you can see the needle changes too. Now you can put whatever values you want in there, but that's the effect we're after, and that's the way it looks. So that's using Excel to create a speedometer gauge for your reports. Okay, so just a couple of other formatting issues with this. You can try and when you're dragging the needle, you need to drag the whole chart. Okay, and then you can also do a thing called adding data labels. So if I click on the pie, right click, add data labels. Okay, so it makes it a bit smaller, but it's a nice effect. So I'm going to show it to you anyway. And you can see now it's showing the value. So for the label for the needle, we want to make sure that first of all, I'm going to remove the other ones, and then for that one, I'm going to take a value from the sheet. So selecting the value in the sheet, and also we can make this a good bit bigger and bolded so it stands out. The other thing we can do as well is in the formatting of the labels, here we can set them outside end, which is the best format really for it. And also we can go in and expand out the pie chart. Let's see if it'll let me do that. Okay, and just make it as big as is appropriate. Okay. Okay, so you can spend a bit of time playing around with that, but then basically the effect I'm after here is when we change the value in the needle, it will change. Okay, well that's it. So thanks for listening and watching, and I will stop there. Okay, so watch out for more tips on Excel when they come up.